What about the health of your team, Coach?
I think we're fine. Elijah stubbed his toe, but other than that, I think we're fine.
Any update on Beetle?
I mean, I think he's probably still a little tentative with it, but he got the okay to play without the brace last week, so I think structurally and everything, he's fine.
You lose your two best scorers and you lose your two best offensive rebounders. How do you become a better team without them?
Not throw it out of bounds so much. I mean, we were, our ball security was as bad as it's been in probably in the 9 years I've been here. We just can't throw it away the way we did. We would steal the ball and then turn it back over. I think we were second in the country in turnovers forced. We're first in steals, miss. First in steals, and then we turned it back over almost 16 times a game. It's all about possessions, you know. It's possessions and trying to get shots, shots per possession. And we just didn't take very good care of the ball.
I was talking to Nate a couple weeks ago. He said he felt in their pickup games and stuff that they're passing the ball better. Do you see that in the time that you're with them? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I think better's the operative word. I'm glad he didn't say good. But we're probably passing a little bit better. But I mean, you put Nate in the lineup. I mean, Nate is a better passer than the other people we played there. JC and Dax, they ought to be better. Tariq should be better. But we're just, it's fast becoming a lost art, being able to pass the ball. And I think the teams that can pass the ball are a lot more difficult to beat, obviously, but you can get more done. I think to a large degree, the clock has something to do with the reason everybody ball screens now. But I think the other thing is they got a whole bunch of guys they don't trust with the ball in their hands, that's good for us the way we play defensively, because we're going to try to make those people handle the ball as much as we can.
Off that, when you started, basically you had to outscore teams to beat them the way the game was played. Today it's more about defense. The principles changed in how you win games and how you build your program and how you go about things from when you started to where it is today because of the rules and the style and so forth?
I think when I started, and really for most of the time I've been a head coach, it's been more about defense than it has been about offense. All these rules that they're doing is to increase scoring, or so they say. I mean, it's increased it about 1.5 points a game. Hadn't increased it very much, but that's what the rules are for. That's why they lower the clock, so you have more possessions. The charge arc and all those things. We're going to end up. I mean, it's going to end up in another year widening the lane, trying to open things up. The fouls. Been more fouls called in the last 2 years than there was in how long? For a long time, and that's for scoring. They want more.
How about moving the three-point arc back? Are you in favor of that?
I think it's going to happen. It doesn't matter if I'm in favor of it. You got to deal with it. I think that'll happen. Then we'll just have more guys step out of bounds in the corner. It's a problem. I mean, why don't we widen the floor? But you can't do that, because of the way arenas are built.
Bob, you've said in the past that passing is sort of a natural art. It's hard to improve. You sort of built, So with that said, can you improve the guys you have, and is that something you look for in recruiting more and more? Those guys who are naturally good at that?
It's hard. I mean, we end up recruiting guys from AAU and they don't pass an AAU. So how do you tell if they can pass or not? You know, and it's a whole lot different when somebody's up in you, and you got to move people's hands, and you got to, you know, you can't throw it across your body. It's that, and I don't know. I mean, if I'm in a post and I'm holding a guy off over here and I have my hand right here, you probably shouldn't hit me in the foot, but we do. You know, it's. I think they throw it. I don't think they pass it. I think they throw it.
So how do you improve upon that with this group?
Well, what I've told them is, we're going to stop turning it over, or we're going to be the best conditioned team in the history of college basketball, because they're going to be over on that treadmill.
Become a better player.
His body's so much better, for one. I think his endurance is better. He's shooting the ball better. They've put a lot of time in. I think JC and James Long probably the most, but Nate's been in there more than he's, normally in there, and Dax has been in there more than he's normally in there. And the freshmen are in there all the time. So we ought to shoot it better, really. We ought to shoot it better than we shot it a year ago.
That a result of being in there as much as they are of the result of your last game, you think?
I'm sure that has something to do with it, but I think, Bob, in all honesty, I think they saw what Jay-Sean did. Jay-Sean struggled really his first year, and then Jay-Sean was spending an enormous amount of time in the gym. He and Tariq. I mean, look how far Tariq's come. Tariq was a below-average shooter, and there's a lot of days he might be our best shooter now, but he's in there all the time. And Jay-Sean was in there all the time. It was nothing for Jay-Sean to spend an hour and a half before practice every day.
Does a game like that, how quick do they shake it off, or, that last game? I mean,
Probably by the time they got back to the hotel.
Really?
I don't know. Everybody, I think when the game's over with, everybody's mad, and everybody's knows that we didn't have the right frame of mind. But how long that lasts, I don't know. You would hope that it would, but it's a long year.
Is it irritating, though, that you had such a great year? You were top 10 most of the year. You beat the #1 team in the country. You were vying for the championship in the best league in the country. And yet everybody's thought, though, is on that last game and not really what the body of work for the season and what your guys accomplished.
I can't control that. It's hard enough trying to control the things I can control, much less things I can't control. I didn't mislead you guys. I told you we'd had terrible practices. We weren't, and it wasn't as much like a physical thing because they're kind of conditioned to play hard. It was more just mentally we weren't there. And I kept telling them, and it didn't do any good. And they probably played as well as they could play, and we played poorly, and that's generally when upsets happen.
What did you want to see from Macon during the offseason in terms of development, and what's the progression been like that?
Well, I want to see him become more consistent in it. I mean, he's really works for a while, and then he kind of takes a little time off, and then he needs to become more workmanlike in in it. He needs to become more like Tariq is or JC is. And they're more in line with what Jay-Sean was a year ago.
What Maciek was able to do with the Polish team over the summer, how much does he have to catch up now? And has he seen some progress there with that?
I think he's got a ways to go, I think, with the language. He had 3 Polish teammates and a Polish coach at Mountain Mission. And it's not, he speaks English pretty well. I'm not sure that he understands everything, especially when you get to talking and terminology's different, and we're talking pretty fast, and he's trying to process it, and he's very, I don't know what the right word is, analytical, John? You're the wordsmith. He stands there and watches a lot. I wish he'd get in a little more, but he stands there and he's trying to figure it out. Which the other guys, you just tell them, really you can pretty much, they'll go on one-word commands because they've done it so much, and he's trying to figure it out. But he's a talented guy. They pick up games. He's always gets picked because he can make shots.
How much do you need those freshmen, even the redshirt freshmen, to be major contributors?
A lot. Sagabon is our best shot blocker. He may be our best rebounder. And Magic can make shots. And so we need those guys. I think you guys probably saw enough of Lamont. Lamont's a talented guy. And we've just, he was young. He needed to grow up. He needed a red shirt. But physically, he's so much better. I think those guys will make huge strides. But we're going to play 11 or 12 of them, so. Brandon's been better. Brandon's been in the gym more.
Is there a guy you think on this team that could come off the bench and give you that spark like Jay-Sean did last year, or does it take a little time to develop a guy like that?
I thought Tariq did it a year ago too, and we haven't really sat down and talked about it as a staff much, but Tariq's certainly a guy who could be the 6th man of the year in the league.
Is it fair to say, to put expectations on Issa, that he has to improve to a certain point this year? Is it fair to put those kind of expectations?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, we're expecting him to. Yeah. He's a talented guy. He's a talented guy, and he ought to be a hard matchup. And he got better and better and better at, the other things as the season went on. He played really well at Baylor. And Baylor had been a hard matchup for us because we didn't have guys like that. And that's, they have a bunch of guys like what Issa is and what Lamont is, 6'6", 6'7" guys that can play inside and out. And I thought Issa played well there. He wants to. And of all of our guys, he probably has the best understanding of what's supposed to happen.
Would you be comfortable running offense then through him this year? I knew that was something you said you hoped to do last year a little bit.
Depends on who's guarding him. If he's got if they're trying to put a guard on him, a 6'1" guy, then I'd just as soon he'd go down there and put him on his back.
What about Tavon during the offseason? What's sort of
Been up and down. Up and down. I think he's got to be. I tell them every time I talk to them, I got to depend on you. It's hard to play guys you can't depend on. And he's gotten better. Our last week when we went 2 hours last week, and instead of going an hour, and he was really good. I mean, we know Dax, JC, and Tariq are going to play, and you know, we've had a lot of success playing 4 guards. Chase has played well. So you know, it's going to come down to who that 4th and 5th guard is. James Long's played well.
The game has sort of evolved to the point where centers are kind of, or true centers, I guess, are kind of obsolete from the game now. Point guard, a true point guard next on that list? Combo guards seem to be the wave of the game right now.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think everybody would love to have a point guard. Well, don't you think that Iowa State's success to a large degree was Monte Morris? When Kansas got real good was when they could play 2 guys that really were point guards. I think everybody would love the luxury of having guys who could make decisions.
Dax and Javon is kind of what, I'm assuming that's kind of what you want to kind of throw at them.
Yeah, JC's been out there more than Dax has, but yeah, Tariq. I mean, really, when it got really hard, Tariq pretty much had the ball. Tariq and Jayshon had the ball.
You're not planning to start 3 guards?
I don't, Mitch. I don't have any idea. I've been out running all over the country trying to get this recruiting stuff wrapped up. I mean, weekends we got kids in here, and during the week you're out doing home visits and sitting in the gym watching them play. Which I don't miss practice during the season, so I got to get it in now because I'm not, we're off days I'll go, but we're gonna shut it down here and get together and figure out what we're going to do. We're going to play the same way, so I mean that part of it's not hard. It's none of the pieces.
Having said that, I don't know much about recruiting, but I noticed that I think 5 of the top 25 kids have committed, and I think 18 of the top 50 have committed. I guess the signing day is coming up, the early signing period's in about a month. Is that common? Or are the kids committing later or waiting longer? Or what are you seeing there?
Well, you're assuming that those rankings that you see, the person doing the rankings has a clue. When you get a guy coming in with sneakers and he's still got the Velcro thing, that you pull over, and still wearing bike shorts, you're looking at him like, and that's the guy I'm relying on for a ranking. I mean, how do you do it anyways? I mean, I think Paul Biancardi is really good, but I mean, how does he see everybody? Can't. There's a guy who's not in the top 200 who the other day in the gym, we were there, Georgetown's there, North Carolina's there, 3 or 4 Big Ten schools. He's not in the top 200, according to them. Of course he is, but.
Okay, the 50 kids with the best reputations. Can I say it that way?
Well, you can say it however you want to say it. I'm just telling you what the reality of it is what's.
Why is that?
I don't know. I don't know. I think when they cut our scholarships to 13, we should have cut their official visits to 3. I mean, why do they need 5 scholarships? And the reality is they know the 2 or 3 schools that they're really interested in. I mean, the majority of them. There's a few maybe, but the majority of them know. But we let them with the rules.
Are these kids flipping like they do in football?
Not as much, for the most part.
Coach, this team, where do you think you're better than last year, and where are you concerned that you're not?
I think we're probably, we have a chance to be deeper, I think. I went to Cincinnati. I said, I'm looking down there and I'm looking at Denny Crum in Louisville, and I'm seeing 5 McDonald's All-Americans and there's 7 McDonald's All-Americans and 2 6'4", 6'5" guards, and I'm like, I don't know how we ever get 5 guys that good. And so I'm thinking, well, maybe we can get 10 better than their 10 as long as we can make them play 10. And that's what we're doing now. What we're doing now is trying to get into people's bench, trying to wear people down. If you watch some of the league games, I mean, their best players were asking out. It wasn't like they came out because they were in foul trouble or whatever. They're just too tired. Officials are calling fouls because they're tired, they need a break. Just want to call something on them, you know. But we just got to get into people's bench, and by playing guys as much as we play guys, they're going to get better. Where when you play 7 guys, you're going to have 7 guys pretty good, and if you have to go 8, 9, 10, 11, you're in trouble.
How many of those guys do you feel comfortable with?
13. 13 of them right now. We're going to have to whittle it down, but
40 minutes with the pressure on. I know you maybe kind of thought about changing it up a little bit.
we might maybe do it a different way a little bit, but no. Our whole thing is I mean, and think about it. I mean, we screwed the Kansas game up so bad in the championship game, and the next thing you know, we're shooting 2 free throws to tie the score and miss them both. And then we came down and stole it again and came down 3-on-1 and threw it to the 1. That's hard to do, but we did. I mean, it's a cumulative effect. And you can't get a cumulative effect if you put it on and take it off and put it on and take it off and let them catch their breath.
I'm going to ask you this. Did what Villanova did last year, they had the best team, but maybe not necessarily the best players. Was that an anomaly, or is that where the game is going today? I don't recall them having 5 McDonald's All-Americans and a bunch of NBA players. They may have a few.
They had a couple McDonald's All-Americans, but the guy that made the shot, a lot of people didn't recruit.
That's how you're building your team, correct?
I mean, I've always kind of thought I should take the guys I like, not the ones that the guy, you know, wearing the out-of-date sneakers and pants or, you know, likes. Jason Maxiell wasn't a top 200 player until one of those guys said to me, "Why are you recruiting him?" I said, "Watch him." Then all of a sudden he became a top 100 player. Sags wasn't a top 100 player. Wait till you see some of the things he can do. I don't really care what those guys say. I don't get caught up in all that stuff.
I'm going to remember that when we talk about Kansas.
Well, Kansas has got those guys. Yeah. I mean, if all of them think that, they're pretty good. But I mean, what makes one the best and the 10th guy's not the best guy? You know, I don't know.
be a streaky shooting team last year. Sometimes you're really good, other times you weren't. More consistent, do you think, this year, just as some of those guys get a little older?
I hope so. We've tried to use the time that we're allowed to work really hard on mechanics to make so that their mechanics were more consistent. You watch the film, the days that they shoot it bad, their mechanics weren't very good. But repetition, and they've got a lot of shots in. Nate's shooting the ball really well. You hope it continues.
Coach, in the past, when you've hit some milestone wins, you've never, always looked forward and not made a big deal out of it. You've got 800 coming up here.
Never have paid attention to that. I kind of pay attention to how many we win during the year. I don't know. I was on that committee for the selection committee, and one of the coaches said, you actually tell your guys what the RPI is of the teams you're playing? I said, sure. Absolutely. He said, you do it for motivation? I said, no, I do it because I don't ever want them coming in saying, why don't you tell me that? I want them to know what it is, what's at stake, and what happens. I don't know if that's right, but I would want to know. As a player, I'd want to know. We've got them on the board in there. I mean, we know, they know going into the game exactly what the team's RPI is. I guess we're going to have to start putting BPI and some of those things on there, but, I mean, if that's what we need to do, we will.
It's better to recruit a All-American one-year player or an all-conference guy that's going to be there for 4 years.
I'm starting to think it'd be a lot easier to have the 4-year guy, but Bob, it's once they get to where they're pretty good, they're going to leave anyways. No matter what they were coming in. I think that's just the times. Probably in hindsight, there's a lot of guys saying, "I wish I would have came back." I know some of our guys. Because they've come in and said, wish I would have came back. And I've told all of them, that Kenyon came in to me and said, what should I do? People were telling me I should come out. And I said, I don't know. Let's research it and see. And the best we could figure, he was going to go 19 to 22 in the first round. And he said, what do you think about that? And I said, well, personally, I think you could be the first pick in the draft if you come back. But, they don't know that because they haven't seen, what you've done from the time the season's over with till now. And he said, well, okay, well, then I'm coming back. We never had another discussion. And he was the first pick in the draft. But you could argue maybe Joe Alexander could have been that, maybe. Instead of being 8th, he probably would have moved up the way he was, progressing. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe he turns his ankle and he falls. I just, sometimes I think the thing that I think about a lot is in such a hurry to be done with the best time of your life. College is, without a question, the best time of your life. You don't, I guess when we're doing it, we think, oh, this is hard and all this and that. We got a great place to live. You eat all the food you want. You got girls chasing you around. And it's, then all of a sudden, now you get out because you always want to get out and make money. Well, then you realize, I got to buy a car. I got to put gas in it. One of our guys the other day said, man, putting his gas in his car is killing me. What did you think? They don't think about that stuff. Where do I live? What do I eat? And then all of a sudden, they don't realize that, probably 75% of the people in this country spend every dime they have just for food, housing, and transportation. It's not as bad as you think it is, you know, sometimes. So, but it's hard to convince them of that.
Tell them gas and the PRT's 50 cents.
Wait till we run out of tires, John. Wait till we run out of tires.
Anything else? Thank you, Coach.
Yep.